Have you gone viral on Instagram yet? I haven't gone viral on Instagram for 6 months, but my business is still growing. I've made it through January. I haven't had to go back to teaching, and business is doing okay. My social media is pretty stagnant, and I am working hard to improve it. But there is a lot to be said that even though your social media following might not be growing at, your business can still bloom. So today we're going to talk about what other marketing tools that you can use as an artist to build your business. Now, let me start by saying I love Instagram and I am fully committed to growing my Instagram account. But I think it's important not to put all your eggs in one basket. I am all for social media. I absolutely love it. I'm on it daily and I am fully committed to growing my Instagram account. Let's face it, it is one of the best marketing tools out there. And because it's free, it gives every artist a platform to just get started. There are some artists out there who have only grown their following on social media, and that is fantastic for them. However, that also means that social media is very saturated and there's lots of people all trying to do the same things. What I want to talk about today is why there are more opportunities than just social media, and you shouldn't be ruling other opportunities out for business growth just because things might not be as quite as quick and as simple as posting on social media. There's lots of marketing strategies out there which are more of a long game, and when you're trying to make money, it's easier. If an Instagram reel goes viral, then you might make tons of sales in a short space of time, and that's fantastic. But you're relying on the algorithm to pick up what you're putting out there, whereas there are other marketing strategies that you might have more control over. One of the most powerful marketing tools is actually word of mouth. Making connections with people and people recommending you to other people. Obviously, that is not entirely in your control, but the way that you harness your relationships with your clients that you've got is the best way of them recommending. You don't have to ask people to recommend you to other people, because if you give them a good enough experience, they will recommend you anyway. If a client has ordered a piece of art from you and they've hung it in their home, you've got the framer that they would have seen your artwork and they would have talked about you and how good the piece was. And then they would have put it up in their home and maybe brought people around for dinner, and they'll be chatting to their friends. And if they love your artwork enough, they'll be showing it off to their friends. And then all of a sudden you've got like a group of people that know about your art and they didn't know about you before. Even if just one of those people goes on your Instagram account, that's one more set of eyes on your page. So just think about the journey and the experience that you give your customer will really help feed those word of mouth recommendations. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying to people, would you recommend me to a friend? You can always put incentives in for customers and say, if you recommend me to a friend and they get a commission, I will give you something back. Referral schemes and loyalty schemes definitely help, but I think as a small business, I would be cautious of offering too much discount, especially because if you're seen to be offering lots of discounts all the time, I think people then expect to never pay full price for you. But if you've made an experience brilliant enough for somebody, then you won't even need those. So there are lots of ways for you to create a fantastic customer experience. And you don't really need me to tell you these. Being genuine, being polite, having lots of conversations, involving them in your portrait or involving them in your art. If you're not just selling a commission and you're selling art, if somebody buys a drawing off you, you can privately email them and say, thank you so much for buying this piece of art off me. You can harness relationships with both commission clients and people that buy your work online. Speaking to them personally, like writing them a personal email or even just a thank you note in the parcel, it really does allow your customer to feel more connected to you, because art is a really personal experience and people will feel like they want to connect with you as the artist as well as the art itself. And again, following up after a purchase. So I always try and get in contact with my commission clients, especially when I know that it's been gifted for Christmas or birthdays or something. I want to follow up and say, how was it received, etc. And then encouraging them to go onto my Instagram or my Facebook, because I would have probably shared a reveal or a behind the scenes of that portrait. You could always encourage them to join your email list so that they get regular updates from you. And if you've got Klaviyo, you can actually segment your list, so you could have a separate list of just past commission clients, and then you can make really more personalized emails to them. So I think by always encouraging after sales, always trying to speak to them post purchase, but not in a salesy pushy way, come on, get another portrait from me, but just as a genuine human trying to harness that relationship that you had. And then hopefully by having that connection, that will turn into another commission, whether that's through a referral or through them themselves. I'm saying this out loud to myself and I'm like, I don't do this enough. So I've just actually given myself another idea on how I can push more relationships, and that's getting them onto my email list. So I'm going to be doing that. I find that I learn a lot more about business just by talking it out loud. And sometimes, like a lot of the times when I've done this podcast, I've gone away and gone, I've given out really good advice today, but I'm not doing that. So I need to get on board with my own advice. So as I've spoken about email lists, let's talk about your email list and why it is really important. So you don't own your social media. You don't own Instagram. You don't own Facebook. So all of your followers that are online, if the platform got taken away tomorrow, you will lose all those followers. It's a little bit like the TikTok ban, which clearly never even happened. But I was thinking all those people that have built all that following, those followers are gone. And that's why it's really important to have an email list as well. And luckily, your email list is automatically people that are slightly more loyal than your followers online, because they've made that extra step, that extra effort to give them you. Excuse me. They've made that extra effort to give you a personal detail. And then I know email lists can be a little bit difficult because emails go into junk, even if your email isn't junk, but just having them on that list is one step forward to harnessing like a loyal following, a loyal fan base. So people that are on my email list aren't necessarily seeing what I do on Instagram or Facebook, and I want my email subscribers to feel like they've got value in being on my email list, other than me trying to get sales. On your website, you should also have a freebie to encourage people onto your list. I currently have 15% off. So for any new email subscribers, they get 15% off. But I'm going to change that to a voucher next, just to see if that makes a difference to how many people, first of all, sign up, and then second of all, use the voucher. Find a reason. Choose a reason for people to sign up to your email list. You don't have to give money off. You could give away a downloadable freebie like a print guide or a framing guide, size guides, like that sort of thing. What do people need from you as an artist to make a purchase, and what freebie could you make for them in exchange for them giving you your email address? So think about how you can actually encourage people onto your emails. So that is another marketing tool. And obviously that's not a free one. I have to pay for Klaviyo. I think my last bill was £35 a month, but it's one that is, I would say, essential, and I would say everyone should have it. But hopefully the monthly cost of having an email list is easily outweighed by your sales. Now, another marketing tool, which definitely is expensive or can be expensive depending on where you go, are face-to-face events. I have got my first face-to-face event of 2025 coming up. I am going to the National Equine Show. These big sort of events, they do cost a lot of money. However, that is one of the biggest caveats that changed my business for me, was actually going out to these events. If you can put it into your budget, I would highly recommend finding a face-to-face event, because it's a bit like harnessing those relationships with your clients. Humans connect to humans, and if you are putting yourself out there and meeting people in person, it makes a huge difference to how they remember you and how they will connect with you and your art. Even if it was just a trade stand at a local event or a market stall, like anything that gets you into the community that you want to serve. So it wouldn't make sense for me to set up a stall so for example, I live in Stratford. If there's every year we have something called the Stratford Victoria Market, and I have actually looked at a stall there before, but I know in my heart that I don't think my work would do very well there, because even though Stratford is in the countryside, it's still a town and it's a touristy town. If I was selling artwork of Shakespearean houses or anything to do with Shakespeare or swans or the river, landscapes around Stratford, my art would do really well there, I'm sure, because there's lots of tourists in Stratford. But I think taking my horse art, I really don't think it'll go down well. So I'm not going to go and put my money into that particular face-to-face event. If you are more on a budget like me, I would be really specific about which events you're targeting and which events you think your ideal customer will be at. I would definitely get yourself out to some local events or travel the country and go to these sort of bigger events, because it really does make a difference. It made a huge difference to my business last year, and it's just great fun. Another thing you could do is I have got my artwork hanging in a pub and at my dentist, and that's free. Apart from me finding the frames and going and putting the frames up myself, that's a free marketing tool. Is there someone that you can approach? Is there a cafe, or is there a pub, or any shops or anything that are local to you that you can just say, would you mind if I put some artwork up in here? I would definitely encourage you to put prints up. And what you can do is you can add a little sign underneath it, and it can have a QR code linking to your website. People might see the print and think, oh my gosh, that's really pretty. Scan the QR code and it sends them directly to your website where they can buy a piece of your art. So think of places that you can actually get your artwork out into the community without it costing you a lot of money. Like, it might only just cost you the cost of the frames. Think about how you can do that, and be bold. If you don't know anybody personally, go and approach people. All they're going to ever do is say no to you, and that's it. But if they say yes, then that's an opportunity. That's another way of getting your art out there. Again, you could collaborate with other businesses that are in your niche. So I could collaborate more with farm shops or tack shops to get my art into communities. Another thing about collaborations, I'm actually going to switch back onto social media here, but this is something that I've done recently. I put a request out to get some reference photos of a dressage rider, and the person that I spoke to that came back to me has a really good engaged following on social media. So I was looking for reference photos and she found me, and I was so pleased that she found me, because on social media I used her platform to help my platform. So it was like a win situation. So she's given me a reference photo. I've then gone and drawn an original piece of art, which is going to eventually go to the gallery, I think. And I've tagged her in all my videos, and because I've collaborated with her on Instagram, it's helped my following grow, because her audience has seen my art. So by collaborating with people online as well as people in person, you're basically taking your audience and their audience and bringing them together. You could also collaborate with bloggers. I'm not very good at blogging. When it comes to writing, that's really my downfall. But you could do guest blogs on other people's pages. So you could do a guest blog on an interior design blog page or something like that. And collaborating with anybody is one way of reaching new audiences, whether that's online or offline. But if you wanted to do it with another small business, you could find a way to exchange services. I'm doing an exchange of services with an equestrian influencer, and she promoted my prints last year, and I'm doing a drawing for her horses in exchange, which is another win for me, because even though I obviously it'll use up lots of my time and it'll use materials, her following is big enough that it helps me grow anyway. So collaborations and exchange of services is a really good way of getting your name out there to different audience. Another marketing tool is obviously your website, and you might not sell through your own website. You might sell through Etsy or New Monday or any other provider, which will cost you money, but don't ignore your website and don't ignore your SEO. So your search engine optimization on your website is really important. And If you've got your SEO down to a T, where you are really specific about what you're selling and what you expect people to be searching for on Google, all it takes is somebody to Google what they want and your website to come up, and then boom, that's marketing. Think about your website being really prioritizing the SEO on your website. And that's where blogs also help, is if you do regular blogs, which I don't do, so I'm not telling you to do them, but they are a really good tool. When you go to the face-to-face events, which I'm going to encourage you to do, whether they're the big ones or the more local ones, definitely get yourself some business cards and get yourself some flyers, because people like to take things. Sometimes when they come to these face-to-face events, they're not in the mood for stopping and talking. They might have a little bit of interest. You give them a flyer, they'll go home, they'll look at it later on, and hopefully then that'll again lead them to your website. So really think about your printed material when you are going out and seeing people, because people need a reminder that they've gone to see you. And so let's just recap on what I've discussed. Social media is fantastic and I love it, and it's free and it's brilliant. We need to think of ways that we can push our business out to new audiences and new faces without always relying on social media, because social media might not always be there. Really harness the power of the relationships with your clients. Make sure that you're encouraging them to come back as a repeat customer, not by being salesy, by continuing to promote, to harness those relationships with them, get them on your email list, and use that email list as a way to really speak to them on a personal level. And hopefully they will talk to you about it to your friends. The power of word of mouth, recommendations. Continue that customer experience from the get-go when they first want to commission you, right through to the after sales. Your email list, let's get an email list going and really work on nurturing your audience. Give them value to be on your email list other than just getting discounts. Get yourself out to face events. They don't have to be the expensive ones. They could be local ones. Go and see people and in person. Do live drawing or live painting. Approach some pubs, cafes, farm shops, tack shops, whatever suits your niche, and ask them if you can put some artwork up in their shop or in their cafe, and make sure that you've got a little card that links directly to your website. Collaborations with businesses and with people online is such a good way of getting your face in front of new audiences. People that are loyal to the other businesses will then come and find you. Work on your website, your SEO, to encourage people to find your website just through a Google search. And don't forget to get printed materials. So when you're seeing people face to face, they have got a reason to get in contact with you because you've given them all the details that they need. I would love to hear about your experiences. So how have you increased your visibility in your business through other means rather than just social media? What have you done? I would love to know, because I love to get new ideas and I love to find ways that I can improve my business. Essentially, what the whole kind of overarching theme of marketing yourself is relationships with people, is connecting to people. Customer focused marketing it's not being salesy, it is nurturing an audience, it is getting people to find you and then giving them a reason to stay with you, talking about your experiences, getting them to talk about their experience with you. It's all about just building a relationship. I would really encourage you to try different marketing methods. And is there something that I haven't mentioned that you want to share with me? So please drop me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is Georgie Turner Artist. My email is georgie@georgieturnerartist.co.uk. I would love to hear from you. And I will speak to you next week. Let's keep creating. Bye.